All right, so hi everyone, and welcome back to Body Talk, where we chat about body stuff. Today we're going to chat about how to kickstart and create a foundation for a healthy lifestyle. I'm Jacqueline, co founder of Body of Work, the first vitamin brand for young women. And with me today, I have my co founder, Alex. Hi, Alex.
Hello.
And a very special guest, Jill Foos. Jill is a national
Hi.
board certified health and wellness coach. So, welcome, Jill. We're so excited to have you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited about our conversation.
Me too. So, like I said, today we're really going to talk about finding your why and how to start building that foundation for a healthy lifestyle. And this is something that you can start really at any point in your life. So, Jill, can you tell us a little bit more about the process of identifying your why?
Yeah, of course. The best place to start. When I talk about building a foundation for a healthy lifestyle, I always remind people that it's not about being perfect or having these quick fixes. And finding your why or your North Star is like, imagine getting in your car and just driving aimlessly, having absolutely no sense of direction or destination. And so finding your why at any stage of your life is your map. It's going to direct you on your journey. And without it, making changes feel like just another thing to do on your list. And sometimes that can be a barrier to entry for many women. So when you connect your goals to something deeply personal, like wanting to stay strong for your grandkids, like me, feel confident in your body again, or protect your long-term, brain health, your heart health due to family genetics, your actions shift because you have this North Star. So finding your why turns these broad goals that people make, like I should eat better, into something more like I want consistent energy so that I can keep hiking with my friends. Or I'm going to go exercise more, into things like I'm going to weight train 2 times a week to prevent the progression of my osteoporosis. So creating these small steps that align with their why, with their North Star. So, and your why evolves, right? So my why when I was in my 20s and 30s definitely is not fitting when I'm 57. So for me, it's a time to reassess my values, get clearer on what really matters to me, and let that why guide me on my journey.
Love that. And I feel that so much. I think I mentioned this to you when we were chatting last time, but one thing that really sparked my why is I just did like an all over skin check, had a mole that was a little abnormal, and I ended up having to have like a very intensive surgery, and I have like a huge scar now. But now every day I'm putting on sunscreen, I'm taking care of my skin, I am like hyper vigilant.
Yeah.
And I didn't completely shift my entire lifestyle, but there was that one aspect of my life that I'm now thinking about every single day. And it's not difficult, to your point, because I have that why, I have that motivation. So I don't think everyone's why has to be that drastic coming from like a
Right.
negative experience.
Right.
Especially as we're talking about people in their like late teens, 20s, they're probably going to have very different experiences. But it is so helpful having that pivotal moment to figure out, okay, I'm going to make this change and it's going to be a lasting change.
Yeah, well, you're talking about layering on different things to your why, right? If your why is I want to live a long, healthy, independent lifestyle full of feeling vibrant and sensual and all these things, right? Well, I had melanoma last year and had a massive 100 stitches of a scar on my neck as well. And melanoma kills people, right? So we want to wear sunscreen to protect our skin so that we don't have future episodes like that, because I want to live an independent, vibrant life. So this is just connecting all these different components you value your health, and reconnecting with your values, which we might want to talk about, is also really important in part of this equation.
Yeah, I would love to talk about that. Also, for people who are like, I don't really have that motivation. I don't really know where to start. I don't know what to build on. Like, what advice would you give them to help sort of uncover that why, or some sort of like baseline to build off of?
Yeah, so what you're talking about is that intrinsic motivation for change, right? And how do we help support people in finding that for themselves? Because everyone's the expert of themselves, right? We can't tell people and make people do certain things. So one of the things I do is I work with my clients to reconnect with their values. So now we have their North Star. We have this overarching wellness vision of what they imagine their life to be like in 10, 20, 30, 40, maybe 50 years, depending on how old you are. And so next, I'm going to help them reconnect with their values and also their character strengths. And as you know, we're all really busy people. Women are super busy. We have careers and families and hobbies and responsibilities that all create barriers to entry to make these lifestyle changes. But if I can encourage her to reconnect with her values, what's most important to her, so she can pivot her lifestyle in a direction that aligns with her values. So for example, I value freedom and education, independence, and health. And so I've curated a lifestyle that supports my values. And character strengths are something a little bit different. They're these positive qualities that reflect who you are at your very best. And there's 24 character strengths. Yeah, and so you can take a test online and you can see the results, and it puts all 24 character strengths in order of your strongest ones to your weakest ones. And it's those 5 strongest ones, those 5 top character strengths that are the ones that are already intuitive to you. They're already built in, hardwired into you as a person. So things like kindness, curiosity, perseverance is a great one to have, right? Because we're hitting a lot of barriers to entry and we need to persevere through the hard times. Gratitude, humor is even one, right? So everyone has this unique combination of all these strengths. And so for example, like if you had a top strength of curiosity, you might approach making these lifestyle changes with a sense of, let's explore what else is out there, instead of the pressure of, oh, I have to do this. So people who have, like, for example, gratitude as a strong top 5 character strengths, they're really good at staying grounded during hard and stressful times. So think of them as like a personal toolkit for your well-being. They're what you already have inside of you to create these positive lifestyle changes. You just have to reconnect with them. We're so busy that we're disconnected from these things. But when you take the time to sit down and really map it out, it's very helpful.
Do you find that this foundation shifts as people go throughout their life? Because if we're thinking about women in their 20s, would it make sense for someone to do this exercise once and then reevaluate every couple of years?
Yeah, I actually work with clients who are like, oh, you know what? I did this like 20 years ago with my therapist. And so, and if they can get access to their old report or maybe remember, it is interesting to see if they've shifted, because sometimes our values shift and our the why we already know shifts. We talked about that. So yeah, but a lot of times these are so deep rooted in a person that there's less shifts among the character strengths than possibly like their North Star.
Yes, and I love how simple yet connected to the individual this sort of foundation is, because it's not one size fits all. It's really tailored to the individual. So if you're looking to, create a healthier habit, even if it's small, or a larger goal, I think taking a look at who you are and what already is inside of you would probably make this journey that much easier and enjoyable.
Absolutely. I have a lot of my clients go through these exercises to help them reconnect with all this information we're talking about. And they always say, I'm glad that I chose to sit down for an hour and really like look at all of these things, because I never make time to do this. And I was really, surprised by the direction of, or how I'm reconnecting with these different things, these strengths, these values, my why. Like, it was really worthwhile for the time to sit down and do the work.
And I love it because it's sort of taking that more holistic approach too. You're not just thinking about, oh, I want to lose 20 pounds. You're like, okay, what is really important to me holistically, mentally, physically, emotionally?
Yeah.
And I know that's something that Alex and I talk a lot about as we go down this wellness journey. With all of that, I know one thing that is on a lot of women's minds, no matter how old or young they are, is physical appearance and feeling good in your skin, and maybe a desire to lose weight. When someone comes to you with that sort of goal or intention, how would you start that conversation, or what advice would you give them?
Yeah, that is also a great question, because in the midlife community, many women experience weight gain around their midsection. Body fat shifts as our hormones are fluctuating, and then the decline. And it's really bothersome and frustrating, because we haven't changed anything in our life, right? We're still eating the same, we're still exercising the same, we're still doing all the same healthy habits, and just this tire has just appeared. So lots of frustration there. I like to see the conversation shifting from weight loss to body composition. And I think that online, if you follow certain people, that's what you're going to hear, right? When we focus on building strength, maintaining our muscle mass, and feeling good in our skin, everything changes. The conversation changes. How we move and how we think about ourselves, how we connect with others, maybe even our partner, which, by the way, supports sexual pleasure. And so I think if we can shift this conversation to feeling strong and rested and confident, and not so focused on what size jeans are you wearing, it absolutely impacts our confidence, our libido and our pleasure. So helping clients explore what makes them feel beautiful again and sensual, but yet strong and healthy. This is an exercise in mindfulness too, right? Giving ourselves some grace and permitting ourselves to reconnect with our bodies that might not look the way they did in our 20s.
So if you were to give your 20-year-old self health advice, what would you say to her?
I would say that throw perfection out the window. It doesn't exist. Flexibility and adaptability exist. And that's a hard one for people like myself. I would say that it's never too late to change directions. Sometimes in our 20s, we are stubborn and see only one way to get to a goal. And I would say to just find a little grace in that and be, again, that flexibility. I would say try to create a couple non-negotiables, because in your 20s, it's really hard. Everyone around you is going out and partying, and that might not be truly what your goals are aligned with. So pick a couple non-negotiables and try to stick with them. And also surround yourself with like-minded people, right? Like, if I value a healthy life in my 20s, surround yourself with other 20-year-olds that are also into that, because that really helps we know that community helps. We know that being part of a community and having that connection with like-minded people is essential.
Imagine you're in college, and one thing that we hear a lot from our customers is that they just don't have the resources or the time to eat healthy, so they're just constantly eating bars or living off of coffee. What is one easy thing that they could do to improve upon their nutrition?
That is a great question. You know, I have 5 kids and their ages are 22 to 30. So I have been in this conversation hundreds of times with them. I would say I have one, my youngest is still in college. He plays college hockey. For him, it's meal prepping. And I know that people are saying they don't have time or resources, but it costs more money to eat out. Meal prepping could take a few hours on a Sunday. So again, for him, aligning with his values and his goals, that's a non-negotiable for him. I have another son who is done with college and working full-time and very long hours, and he still meal preps on Sundays. So those are their non-negotiables that they have walked away with, that no matter if they're in school, no matter if they're on the road playing hockey, no matter if they're in a full-time job and they have limited resources, that's the one non-negotiable that is not going anywhere, because that keeps them focused on their bigger goals and keeps them on their journey.
That actually sounds really attainable. Honestly, I have to start trying that out because
It doesn't have to be
I
complicated.
was just thinking. Yeah, I mean, we both have very chaotic lives, and so I feel like I'm always struggling to just like grab something easy that's good for me, that's in the fridge.
Right. Well, here's one tip. A lot of my clients that also say they don't have time to cook. Like my sons, we all like cooking our chicken on Sundays, chopping up a bunch of vegetables, roasting. Like we've been doing that a long time, so it's now become very intuitive. Some of my clients, not so intuitive. One of the things they'll do is they'll go out and buy a rotisserie chicken. They'll break it down, get all the meat off the bones. They'll get their salads, maybe their pre-made salads, like in the bags or something, and they'll get their meal prepping containers, and they'll make 5 salads up. So at least they know for lunches, they're covered. Whether they're working out of the house, at home, or working out, in a corporate atmosphere, they have their lunches for the week.
Yep.
So it takes the pressure off of that.
oh, that just made me think of something. What are some good like shelf stable options to keep on hand if you're living in a dorm room where you don't really have that
Yeah.
space?
Yeah. Well, hopefully you like seafood and shellfish, because we know that they come in little tins, right? Which my kids love. Tuna, mackerel, salmon. I mean, there's all kinds of things, right? All kinds of fish. There's also roasted chicken organic roasted chicken that comes in a tin. I've actually had it before when I've traveled like on long flights, and I throw a bunch of tins in there. I always am kind of self-conscious about opening up a tin of tuna on the plane, because like it's gonna smell. But the roasted chicken is not bad, right? So if I want my protein and that's a value and a priority for me, it's a non-negotiable, getting it in, that's what I do. You can also buy like jerkies. There's chicken jerkies, beef jerkies, turkey, salmon jerky. There's all kinds of stuff like that. So there's plenty of options out there, but it's about sitting down, connecting with all of this information that we've talked about and saying, okay, what are my options? Get my options, let's put them on the table. What am I gonna like? What am I gonna stick with? What is gonna be easy for me? And what's gonna make me happy? Right? Because at the end of the day, if none of this is going to make you happy, if you're not going to feel joy, if it feels like a chore, if it feels like it's just too hard and you don't want to, continue on with this goal, it's not going to stick with you.
Okay, so can you give us then like 2 or 3 just actionable tips that someone could do today to just like build that healthy foundation?
Yeah. Well, sleep is pretty important. If we don't get restorative sleep at any age, it's really hard to accomplish any goal. If you don't get your sleep and you wake up groggy, you aren't going to feel motivated to go work out. You're going to make poor food choices. So to me, sleep is a priority. What can you do about sleep? Well, and this is not going to be taken well for a 20-year-old, but if you can get to bed and wake up at the same time every night, then that is super helpful. Maybe on the weekends, it's not going to look the same, but even on the weekends, and this comes from cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, CBTI. If you stay up late one night, maybe you have a wedding, maybe you've gone out to a party, maybe you're on vacation, continue to wake up at the same time every single day. And what that does is it helps you with your sleep drive for that next night. It helps you stay tired. It helps you work up to being tired, to getting more sleep the next night. Because you're not going to go out and party, hopefully, every night, right?
Right.
Hopefully, Sunday through Thursday, you have a little different of a sleep schedule than Friday and Saturday nights. But if you wake up at the same time every morning, that is huge. Also, with sleep, instead of thinking about sleep as what can I do at night, think about what can you do in the morning. So now you're waking up at the same time every morning, go outside for 10, 15 minutes. Let that natural light flood the neurons in your eyes, which helps signal to the pineal gland, which is our 24-hour circadian clock. It helps signal, okay, we're starting the circadian clock, we're starting our biological clock. So that's also going to help regulate your sleep. And also, so I'm really focused on sleep right now. Also, try not to eat too close to bedtime. If you can give yourself 2 to 3 hours of that fasting time before bed, that's really also going to help with your sleep. So for my younger clients who are going out on a Saturday night, can they eat a little earlier in the evening, even though they know they're going to stay up late? Can that help? Can they at least keep that as a non-negotiable? Like, don't eat at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. Try to bump it up to maybe 7:30 or even 8:30 at night if they're going to stay out till like midnight.
Okay, I'm taking note of all of this.
Sleep's a big one.
But when you say it out loud, it's like, okay, that feels manageable to your point.
Yeah.
Like possibly like a low-hanging fruit, something that I can easily incorporate and I won't feel like I'm reaching for something that's unattainable.
Yeah, I think it's hard for a lot of moms and dads because if their kids are school age and they're up, getting home late from maybe an after-school activity or sports or something like that, or up doing a project or homework that's due the next day. So I think it can be challenging during your 30s and 40s when you're raising your kids. I remember those days. That's why if you continue to wake up at the same time in the morning, get that natural light, eat dinner a little bit earlier, at least you can maybe control those things because some of the other things might be harder.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Jill, thank you so much for joining us today. I definitely learned a lot. I'm going to go write down my list of non-negotiables and watch my life change before my eyes. Thank you very much. For anyone who is interested in learning more about Jill, can you remind me your website?
Yes, you can find me at JillFoosWellness.com. And then also I have a podcast called the Health Trip Podcast where I bring on different physicians and researchers and scientists and we talk about all things related to women's health. So pretty cool information there.
Great. All right. So everyone listening, if you like what you heard today, please subscribe, share with your friends, and check us out at bodyofworkvitamins.com. All right. Until next time.